Hey there, my name is Troels, and in this video we're going to take a look at our badass Blendstrument Hybrid Pulses library. This is actually the second iteration in our Blenderman series. We started out with our Blenderman motion textures, which was more about creating these organic sounding textures. And with this library, we are way more in the cinematic, epic music, neoclassical, contemporary sounding land. And it's all about creating hybrid pulses. So these very contemporary sounding, almost EDM friendly at times, sounding pulses and textures that you can use to beef up your compositions. And the most beautiful thing about the Blenderman is that whatever I'm going to show you right now will be unique. I'll never be able to generate the same result again. And whatever you're going to be doing with this will also be unique. The library is that deep and there's an infinite amount of options in terms of creating new textures and sounds. So let me just get into it here. You're going to be seeing me click this button here. This is the mother button of chaos and randomness. Anytime I click it, it'll generate something entirely new. If you click this button down here, it's only going to randomize all the effects, but it won't randomize all the different sounds here. And if you use this guy here, it's actually going to clean all the effects so you can hear what that particular Blenderman sounds like without any effects on it. So in essence, you got the all button here randomizing everything. You got the single button randomizing all the effects, and then you got the clean button or the reset button down here. Let's go. Alright, so as you could see, I was clicking the randomize all button here, and then I was doing the effects randomization here, and then I was cleaning up some of them as well. And it's really just the easiest way to do it. The Blenderman actually goes back to an old idea I had where I wanted to create a library called Unpredictable that just had one button that would essentially do everything we did in here. But it took us quite a while to figure out how to do musical randomization. It's not just randomizing things, but it's doing it in a way that sounds somewhat musical. Let me try to go a little more into it here. Let's unlock this advanced mode here. And as you can see now, we have access to the Panorama system. And the way the Blenderman is built is that you have all these categories here of sounds, individual sounds up here, and each of these sounds have 5 different variations. So when you're randomizing, there's a lot of stuff going on because it's not just that you got single samples here, is that each of them have 5 instances that are each very different, and then they're also rendered completely randomly with effects down here. And using our Panorama system, we actually have individual panning on each of the samples and so forth. There's an enormous amount of things going on. And as you can see up here, you also have the same system here. So a randomize all button, they'll randomize all the individual sounds up here. You have a single button here, they'll randomize the Panorama system down here. And then you got the reset function here. You can see everything got reset. And then you also got this button here, which is awesome. It allows you to load multiple sounds at the same time. But if you don't want to do that, you can essentially unclick it, and then you can just listen to, hey, what would one of these samples sound like in 5 different versions here. So let me just take you through a couple of the sounds here using an unlinked state. And I'll also unlink this guy down here so you'll have a much better idea what it sounds like in its sort of more core state. I'll take the volume down here on pod 2. This is pod 1 and pod 2. So right now we're just going to be listening to single sounds in pod 1 here using the unlinked feature here. Okay, and that's actually a good example. Right now, there's a couple of textures that I really liked here. I think it was 22 and 24 here. So let's try to combine them again. I'll click this guy here, and then we'll combine the sounds. And I'll try to create my own Blenderman, but actually by choosing options here, it's not that you just have to randomize. You can actually also sit and build everything up from scratch here. And And as you can see down here, we also have a keyboard here. Let me just play the same texture here. Let's add something random new to it here, like 27. And then you'll see me play down here on the keyboard. You actually have multiple octaves of key ranges, so you can play tonally as well. And the little fade out and filtering in the end was just me using the mod wheel down here. Let me try to create another texture. Let's unlink this guy again here and go into the rhythmic guys here. We both have tonal pulses and we have rhythmic pulses as well. And they'll of course be randomized totally. But right now I just want to show you a couple of the rhythmic textures. So they're not tonal, they have this more unpitched rhythmic element to them. Alright, so let's say I want to build a couple of things here. I'll click this guy down here and I'll start combining a couple of the rhythmic pulses together. And of course, this is also a tempo sync. We are at 120 BPM right now. Let me just take it down to like 70. And let me try to randomize the effects up here. I'm not going to use the global effects down here, but I'm just going to using the panorama here. So again, we have 4 different pulses here that each have 5 different variations. So when I click the randomizer here, you're going to see the panorama system here start to change a couple of things. Let me click on a couple times so you can hear the difference it makes to the sound. And then of course the fun begins when you start adding global effects to it. So let's say we like what we have up here right now, and then let's start randomizing down here at a global level. So you can hear that's a lot different than what we heard just working with up here. And one of the beautiful things down here is our textural convolutions, which is something we introduced with our first Blenderman as well. And essentially allows you not only to have a normal delay like you have up here, but you have a textural delay. So it's not just an echo or delay of the sound itself. It actually has a texture in it using our convolution reverb. We have 2 different convolution reverbs here in the library. And the great thing about that is that you can create these really advanced, beautiful, more complicated type of pulsing textures. So let me just play the same thing here and then go through a couple pulses here from our textural convolution delays. So you can hear what difference it actually makes using these pulses here. We have over 300 of them, so that's kind of a lot. And they also get randomized, by the way. And another great aspect about textural convolutions down here is that they also, and you probably noticed that, sync to your DAW Host-Tempo. So everything is randomized here, but it always syncs to your tempo in one capacity or another. So let me do a little more of the randomization. Let's go back here to the mother of all buttons and take another little journey into blend instrumentation with our hybrid pulses here. Oh yeah, and let me show that. I was actually just playing around here with the mouse and the pulse here. You can actually right click on any of the components in the library here and assign them to whatever CC you want. So right now I'm just going to assign it here to my mod wheel, so you can see I can control it. And that was actually cool, just sort of going in and out of textures. Let me do that a little more here, and I might change a couple of the pulses too. Another cool aspect about the Blenderman is that you have two versions of the library within itself. So you actually have the library loaded twice. This is part 1 and this is part 2, and you can see them down here as well. And one of the great aspects about the library is that you can actually pulse between the different parts. So it's not only that you have the ability to do textural convolutions and, you know, combine all the sounds here, and each of them have 5 layers. It's also that you can pulse between 2 different banks of the library itself. I know, mind-blowing. Let me try to show you a couple of features here. So you could hear the first texture here being dialed in, and then you can hear the second texture being dialed in. And as I use the mix and the pan function, the sounds get separated, especially with the panning here. You can hear it's a woo, woo. So each part playing each side of the stereo spectrum, kind of like woo, woo. Let me try to do that again. Let me start over here, do something similar. And then this time I'm also going to add some of our global effects to it as well, just to give you a little idea of how quickly you can actually go in and manipulate the sound and create something entirely new. Alright, so it doesn't take that long to get into the woods, and of course it's all about like controlling it in the right way. So I love using the randomizer down here and let it inspire me, and then go in and fiddle around with the parameters here and really dial it in. There's no guarantee that randomization is going to land you what you want, but it's an awesome way of being inspired. And again, it just takes that one click here to do it. So let me just take you on a final journey into the Blendstrument Hybrid Pulses here. I'm going to be using the randomize button, and then I'll click some of the features down here and dial in a sound I really like, and that will be that.